Okay, so we'll start then. And thank you, Michelle. So we'll call the meeting to order. Good afternoon. This is the Old Lime Tree Commission meeting, and it is 4:09. Members present are Joan Flynn, Emily Griswold, Michael Gaffey, and Chairman. And thank you all for calling in. I sent you all of you your agenda, and I sent all of you your agenda. And the first order of business. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. First order of business. I have new business first. This time, there were two members reappointed that happened after our January meeting. As you know, we haven't had a meeting since January, and I had notice of the appointment after we met. So since that time, Michael was reappointed for a 3-year term, and I was appointed for a 3-year term, and we both were sworn in. So the next item is we need to elect a chairman and vice chairman. So before we begin discussing business, so would anyone like to nominate or make a suggestion who they would like to see nominated for chairman?
I think we should renominate our chairman.
Oh. Okay. Well, is anyone else
willing?
Is anyone else interested, I should ask, I guess, or would they like to serve as chairman?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Decade.
Well, I was hoping someone would say yes, but since no one else wants to serve, I will be happy to do it again to serve for 3 years. So thank you. I appreciate it. Your confidence, and I accept, I suppose, after you vote. So I'll need a motion. For chairman, please.
Well, officially, I motion that Joanne DiCamillo be elected chairman for a 3-year term.
I'll second.
Okay, somebody second.
Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Aye. Aye. Okay, thank you, Emily. And now we need a vice chairman. So, Joan, would you be willing to do it again?
I'd prefer not to, Joanne. My situation's too fluid.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I understand. Michael, would you be willing to serve as vice chairman?
God, if no one else wants to.
You're elected.
Okay. So thank you, Michael, and thank you, Joan, for helping. I know you'll continue to help out, though. We
Yes.
certainly need your input, your voice. So thank you, though, for serving for the past term. So with that said, I'll need a motion then to nominate Michael as vice chairman. Someone please make that motion.
I'll make that motion for Michael to be vice chairman for 3 years.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Michael.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping up. We all appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Martha, do you have all of that?
I do. Yep. Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
for speaking clearly. So that's good.
Okay. Since this is our first attempt at a virtual meeting. Okay, I guess Ann did not come on, so there's just us. So okay, so we'll move down now. If you're looking at your agenda, the second item under new business was Bartlett's proposal for Phytophthora canker treatment of the beech tree at Townwood Park. And that was actually back in March that we received that. I went over to Townwood Park today and looked at the trees over there. And there's a couple that I would say the maple trees, 2 maple trees look great. They do need to be trimmed again. I know we had them done last year in the spring. Bartlett trimmed them, but there are low-hanging branches especially one of them, that should be pruned, and this is why. The beech tree had 3 lower branches that someone just went and broke them off. They didn't prune. They weren't pruned. They were broken off. So that needs some trimming. They need to be corrected. And I was very surprised to see that. As far as I went over to see if I could identify the canker, if it was visible, and I did take some pictures, but the health of the beech tree is not great. But I can't remember. I went over to EF Watermelon after, and I saw Joan, and I can't remember if we had them fertilized. Does anyone else remember? Joan thinks we had them fertilized as well, but I don't remember, and I haven't had time to look in my file. So, and the other tree, of course, is the oak tree. And the oak tree, that was the garden club's donation. The oak tree, they're late to leaf out, so it's hard to tell, but there is some dieback at the ends of the branches, and it appears right now, of course, it's just budding out, that the top may have died too. So, and then I took photos, and there's 3 or 4 yellow fungus-like structures on the back of the trunk, on the bottom, where there aren't any branches. So I'm thinking I'll forward all of these photos that I took to you for you to look at. But I also think that maybe we should have Bartlett look at the oak tree. And I do think that in my opinion, I want you to weigh in too, that we should probably have the systemic treatment done again this year. We had it done last year. Because I can't tell if there are any cankers on it, but I did do some research and through UMass and about canker disease. And what it said, what I found is that canker disease can be easily treated and has proven to be very effective against Phytophthora if it's diagnosed early on young trees. And you must be faithful in using it because the bark treatment helps to suppress the Phytophthora. So the proposal is for 2 treatments this year from Bartlett. Once again, one was to be done May 4 and the second July 6, and they are $90 each. So as I said, I didn't notice lesions on the trunk, but that doesn't mean anything. I was really surprised to see the broken branches. And they need, as I said, they need corrective pruning immediately. So I'm wondering what you think. I'd like to have your opinion and see what you think. If we should continue with it.
I kind of got late
Ann.
on this. Yeah, I did get in
good.
finally. It didn't want me at first.
Okay, good.
But which tree are we talking about? Where?
We're talking about the beech tree at Town Woods Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know which one you mean.
So that tree, as I said, it has broken stubs actually on the bottom. It appeared that something, maybe, I don't know who did it, but maybe they were in the way of something, but there's 3 or 4 broken branches on the bottom that need corrective pruning. And then there are, on one of the maple trees, that needs to be the same. Now, those trees were pruned last year, but apparently, for some reason, maybe it was vandalism, I don't really know, but they also need to be they need to have the weeds pulled around them because they are young trees. So there's 4 of them there, as you remember. And I mentioned that the oak tree oak trees are very late leafing out. It does have buds, but it appears that it died back somewhat on the tips of some of the branches, and the top doesn't seem to have any new growth. But we'll wait and see. Oh, and the other thing, I have this further on the agenda, but as long as we're talking about it, I have it under old business. Do you remember from last year? I sent you your minutes from the November meeting last year and the January meeting from this year. But I think it was in the November minutes that Connecticut Tree Protective Association donated that small white oak tree to the town, and an arborist by the name of John Stearns from Save a Tree was going to plant it last year and put fencing around it to save it from the deer and mulch it and take care of it. Well, I'll send all of you the pictures after the meeting. He did not do it. The pot is just sitting there with the tree in it. So we have to, I have to get in touch with him. And I just saw it today. As I said, I parked at the senior center. You have to park at the senior center because the park is closed, and walk in all the way back to where the trees are planted to see them. So I did that. And so that's just sitting there in a pot. He didn't plant it. So I don't know. I guess I should call him and talk with him and see if maybe he was thinking about getting back there and doing it. I don't know, but I probably will call. Otherwise, we'll have to have someone plant it. I mean, it's such a small tree. It's probably 12 and maybe 2 feet at the most tall. It's just a seedling. So we would have to.
Where you want to have it, Joanne?
No, it's right on the edge. Actually, he just put it right in front of the other oak tree, and it's great because whoever takes care of the park, mowing the park, has been going by it and leaving it sitting in the grass, which was great. I would think he, maybe wouldn't even see it and mow it over it, but he hasn't. So I just left it there because he's bypassing it. But we have to figure out a spot where to put it, and he told me that he would put it in the ground just over the winter. I'm surprised it survived, but we have to figure out a spot where to put it. And then, it would be easy for us to plant it actually because it's so small. It's probably in its own pot, so it would be very easy for us to plant it. But we just have to meet there and figure out a spot for it. And then I guess he said he would water it and maintain it too. But anyway. That's where we are with that. So I just wanted to report that because that's on the bottom of under old business, the last item. So anyway, so getting back to the treatment for Phytophthora, what does everyone think?
Was there any sign of any reddish stain?
Any what?
Do you recall was there any reddish staining of the bark?
I didn't notice any when I went today. No, I didn't notice any red. I didn't notice any bleeding. That's what I was looking for. But then I was kind of deterred when I saw the broken branches and took pictures. But the pictures that I send you were you can larger so you can see the bark on the bottom. And it did not look like it needed treatment, but then again, I don't know when the trees start bleeding. So what I thought that maybe we should treat them this year, or I was going to call Nick Ballas and just ask him to meet him there and see what he tells me about it. I'll meet him on site and see what he tells me. And if it does have canker, then he could point it out to me, because I'm going to ask them to prune it anyway, to do the corrective pruning, because that needs to be done. So what is everyone's opinion? I guess what I need to know is if he suggests that and points out the spots where maybe there is the canker. Last year he sent photos to us, which I forwarded to you, where the canker was on the bottom of the trunk. But I haven't been in touch with him because I knew we wouldn't be meeting, and I didn't have your approval to have Bartlett treat the tree. So, okay. So what do you think?
Well, I'd give it one more year. That would be my vote.
Pardon me?
Yes, I agree with her. If there's no girdling and no staining that appears that the girdling is advancing from weeping of the sap, why not give it another try?
Okay. So and how about you, Emily and Anne? What do you think?
Sure.
And Emily?
Yeah, I agree. I think we
Okay.
spent a lot of money and time on that tree. So how much is the tree?
Yes, that's the thing. I know, and it's really, $180. I'll be giving you the report on the budget. We do have the money to do it, but I want to meet on site with to be sure. I want to meet on site with Nick and let him, explain it to me if it does need treatment, where it needs treatment, and these are the signs of the canker. It did have some black spots, but there was no weeping, and that's what I was looking for. It did have some black spots on the trunk. But after I read from UMass that if it's treated as a young tree, that would be starting early, that it can be treated, and it's proven to be very effective. But you must be faithful in using it. That's what I thought, well, we should probably go one more year and see what happens. So, okay, so I guess what I should do is ask you to approve treating the tree with the canker for the Phytophthora, depending on what Nick Vallis tells me. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
By me.
Okay, so then I'll need a motion to approve 2 treatments. I suppose he's going to do it sometime now in May. It's late, but anyway, in May, and then hold off on the other one until later. I'll see what he has to say, but I do want to meet him there and talk about the condition of the tree as well. So, okay, so did someone make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, that's Anne who's second?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item. We have a town, I joined the town website back in the fall, and with Michelle's help, and we did have some postings with some email requests for tree inspections, removals, and trimming. And I'll review them quickly with you. There was a neighbor living at 19 Hillside Road who reported a large tree who reported a neighbor's tree that was leaning over the power lines and wanted to know if the town could do something about it. I believe Edidonti went out and looked at it, and the tree was definitely on private property. So it's not a town issue, but Tom contacted Eversource and told Susan Stotts that the tree was leaning over power lines, and if it fell, it would take out the power line. So he did. It was not a town issue, but it was reported to Eversource, and that happened back in February. That was on, as you see on your agenda, on February 10 when it was reported. All of the emails that I pick up and see open on the town website, everyone who emails, I have forwarded on to Tom and Edidonti because they're all of these 4 emails. They were asking for inspections and removals and trimming. So the next one was on April 17 on Osceola Trail. A resident was concerned about large trees that were on the town, where she thought was the town right away, once again on a neighbor's property, and she was worried about them falling and causing damage on her property. So that was forwarded to Tom and to Edidonti. There's the next one on April 28 at 22 Washington Avenue. That's the Miami Beach section of town. There's a prospective buyer who wrote the email who wanted to know, apparently the owner at the time, the prospective buyer, the owner told him that there were large trees near the utility wires in the front of the house, and the owner at the time said that Eversource, he got permission from Eversource to cut the trees down, but the prospective buyer wanted to know if the town knew anything about it, which we didn't. Tom didn't know anything until I forwarded the email. So he called and he gave Susan Stotts once again and gave her all the information. So Eversource was contacted about that. The agreement apparently was 2 years ago, and the trees are growing into the wires. So that was taken care of. And then the next one, just last week or 2 weeks ago, on May 6th, 6 Browns Lane, the resident reported a rotting tree. Eversource was in the neighborhood. This tree was out by the road, and he said that Eversource was removing a lot of trees and wanted to know if they would remove this tree that was near his house. And I forwarded, I don't know if Edidonti or Tom contacted Eversource, and Eversource came. He just emailed me yesterday to tell me that the tree was taken down. The brush was all, there's part of the trunk left. So that Eversource told him it wasn't on their list, but they did it because the town reported it. So that was taken care of. Okay, so we'll move on. Does anybody have any questions about the? I'm surprised all the people who are contacting us by going through the town website. Before they used to call the town, but now they just, there is a link there for them to email, and it's been pretty busy. So, which is good. That's a good thing. So, yeah. Anyway, are there any questions about anything?
No, things are getting taken care of fast.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is the report from the January 16th minutes. I sent them to you to review because, quite frankly, I didn't remember everything that we talked about. I hope you reviewed them, and you were asked, need to have. Does anyone have any questions about the minutes? Okay,
I do
then.
have one question. The landscape
Okay,
plan
go
for the
ahead.
can the landscape plan for the library be viewed inside the library somewhere?
Actually, the landscape plan for the library it was posted on the town website for
Oh,
quite
I
a
see.
while.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if it's there. It may have been there before the library closed. I don't know, but I know that I do remember seeing it on the town website, and I'll have more to say about that because we did review it that at the I think the January meeting. Was it January? Let's see. I'm looking at the minutes.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we did. But I have some more to say about that. So we'll go. We'll move down as we move down. So, okay. So we need a motion to approve the January 16 minutes. Would someone make a motion, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the January minutes as written.
Okay, thank you, Emily. And second.
Second.
That's Ann.
Okay, Ann, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Any questions? Good. Next, budget report. The Tree Commission budget balance as of May 5, 2020, this is the total budget, is $9,959.70. $9,959.70. Got that? Okay. The contracted services balance is $56.95. That's the remaining money in the contracted services. I approved 2 invoices, one on December 31st, which was $13.20 for 2 invoices. For 2 tree trimming invoices. One was the Still Lane Green. You may remember the storm damage on the maple tree there. And then the tree warden requested trimming of an oak tree on Boggy Hole Road. Both of those invoices I approved on 12/31. I don't know when they were posted. I haven't looked at that, but they've been charged. And then the other one was for Martha on 2/27, a bill of hers for 2 meetings. And that was $184.
Worth every penny.
Thank you.
So I guess that's what I have to report. So we do have and the other, well, I didn't approve this, but as you know, Tom's stipend is also deducted, and that was $1,500. So, and we had 0 under tree other, that we usually use that. It's $1,500, and we usually use that for planting. So we haven't used anything of that budget. So the next thing, next item. Any questions about charges or spending or budget? Okay, no. Hearing none, then I'll move on.
Yeah.
All right. The C.B. Griffin Noyes Library Landscape Plan. We reviewed that in January, and we reviewed changes that were proposed, reviewed the plant list, and discussed the overall plan. and actually forwarded it before that meeting to the tree warden, who said it looked great. It looked very good. He approved. Well, I learned after that meeting, in our January meeting, that the library land is privately owned, which I guess it was before that meeting because I have that on the minutes. 3 new street trees, oxydendron, will be planted on Library Lane. Now, this is according to the old plan. Will be planted on Library Lane to match the existing trees. On, when is it, February 6th, I emailed the landscape architect and told the landscape architect that we met, and let's see if I can bring that up in my iPad. Here it is. And what I said was, I thank you for your voicemail. I had emailed her, and she tried to call me, but I was not at home, and I told her that I reviewed the landscape plan, sent it with the tree commission members. This was right after our meeting in January. Sent the documents to the tree warden, and everyone agreed. Members and tree warden agreed that the plan and schedule look fine. But Phoebe Griffin Library is private property. Our concern was with the existing oxydendron trees on the Library Lane, whether they are planted on the town right-of-way, and the need for approvals to plant more. In reviewing your documents, the trees appear to be on the library property and not in our jurisdiction. If this is not the case, please advise. She sent me a new copy of the plan, and she wrote back and said, "Hello, Joanne. The existing trees adjacent to the stone wall, that's where the oxydendron trees were located, along Library Lane, are not in the right-of-way. Also, we are protecting these existing trees and are not proposing any more new trees along Library Lane. Let me know if you need anything else from us." And her name was Diana Lanzer. She's the project manager. Now, she's the one who contacted me way back when, last summer. And she did so at the because the zoning enforcement manager, zoning enforcement officer for Old Lyme, when she brought the plans into land use, he reviewed them and he suggested that she contact the tree commission about the landscape plan. So he probably didn't realize that there weren't any, that the trees were along Library Lane. You know, he maybe thought that they were under our jurisdiction, but they're not. So we have no jurisdiction over anything at the library. I just said, but I did tell her that everything looked fine. So, so does that, is that okay with you? And does that answer any questions you may have, Michael?
All good here.
Okay, good. Okay, so I guess they've made quite a bit of progress on that. I did see the small Japanese maple that was in the middle of the circle for many years. When you went to the library, you drove, in the parking lot, you'd have to drive around the circle, and there was a very pretty small maple, Japanese maple there, dwarf Japanese maple. I see that they have that up on the lawn. I guess that's where they transplanted it to as a holding spot. So I'd be interested in seeing where they're going to put that when they transplant it to its permanent home. Okay, now we can move on to the EF watermelon linden tree. Has everyone looked at that tree?
Michael
I
sent
did.
some really nice photos.
Yeah,
didn't know
thank you, Michael.
I thought that might help
Yeah.
the conversation.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
And
Yeah,
I have a mask on.
I have not left. I have not driven by it. I apologize. We haven't gone anywhere in the last couple days. So,
Okay, that's okay. So,
But I did
Um,
look at Michael's pictures. Thank you very much, Michael.
You do.
when did you send them to us via email, Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Today?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't opened my email, so I didn't see them, but I actually went there after Townwood Park once again because I did try to meet with the, just as a review, I stopped by there with Tony from Tenant Tree Service in November because I had noticed that it was getting very large again. And for your, I just wanted to mention also that we trimmed it. I know I've said this before, but it's been a long time. We trimmed it in the winter of 2015 for $350, again in July of 2018 for $360. So I had Tony really talk with him about taking off a lot more than has been taken off in the past, only because we keep trying to, contain this tree, rein it in, and it's a very fast-growing tree. Lindens should really be on a large property or on a golf course or in a park because they're fast-growing trees, and they're, as you can see, they spread. And this tree, I just remember from when I went to the old Christ the King Church that tree started as a seedling. I remember seeing it as a seedling sprouting. So I should have pulled it out. But it's just too large for that spot. However, it's a lot of people think it's a beautiful tree. So I talked with Tony. No one was there in the shop at the time, and we had a discussion about taking off some of the branches and lifting the whole tree so that it would go up over the building. So the quote was $650. So I went to EF Watermelon to talk with them again in January because he and I met there at the end of November and then the holidays and Christmas. I went by again in the beginning of January and the shop was closed. There was a sign on the door that said that they will be gone until the beginning of March. So the first week of March was when they were scheduled to return. I didn't get there that week, and then, of course, everything closed down. So I have not been able to talk with them. Meanwhile, back last month in April, Mary Jo, the selectman, Mary Jo Nosel, sent an email, and the two gentlemen partners who own the business there would like to have told her they would like to have the tree trimmed. They're worried about a large branch that was near the overhanging or almost overhanging the building. Certainly, they're worried about it breaking off and hitting the building. So I asked Tom to go out and evaluate it, and he did so last month. Or maybe it was this month because I reminded him I'd asked him before, but with everything that's happened, he didn't do it. And so anyway, he went right out when I reminded him, and let's see what it says, if I can find it. I did bring it up on my iPad so I could read it to you. That's not it. I have to go through my emails. Okay. What he said was he reviewed it. He reviewed the tree. He noticed a few broken branches hanging over the street that were likely hit by trucks, which probably, yes, I agree with that. That could be pruned. I did notice a large branch getting close to the shop but not touching it at this point, which we saw that. He said the tree was healthy. He did not see any signs of structural problems. while some structural pruning to lift the tree and get it further away from the building would be acceptable. I don't see it as a necessity. Our town crew can easily prune the broken branches, but you may also want to hire someone to do it. If the property owner would like to take the pruning on themselves, that would be fine. While I realize the town has pruned this tree in the past, I don't think it's a prudent expense for us to take on. Every shopkeeper and homeowner requesting a better view or visibility could make this request of the town. So he didn't see any structural problems. I spoke with him again today, and he said, just, whatever the commission decides is fine with him. But so I went out there after I went to Townwoods Park. I stopped by there, and Joan was there, and we both looked at it. And it's hard to determine if part of the tree is on the owner's property, the shop owner's, not the shop, the building, the owner of the building, and part of it is on town right of way. The shopkeepers do not own the building. There is another gentleman who actually owns both of those buildings, the red building and the EF Watermelon building. I have not contacted him about the tree. But when Joan and I were looking at it today, Tom had said that a light trimming would be acceptable over the street, and there are some low-hanging branches that could be trimmed but the large limbs that I guess the shopkeepers are talking about is he doesn't see it as having any structural, any decay or any weakness structurally. So that being said, we need to talk about what we want to do with the tree. I also called Town Hall, and I asked if you can remember several years ago, there was a discussion and a question about who owned the tree on the corner of Ferry Road and Lime Street on the Congregational Church side. There was a tree. There was a question about who owned the tree, the church or the town. And I had gone into the town clerk's office, and Island Coffee pulled some maps for me, and we have always trimmed that tree. And we learned when we pulled those maps, I learned that that is actually not a town tree. It belongs to the Congregational Church. So there might be the same situation with this tree. But I talked with Vicki today in the town clerk's office, and she said she would be willing to do some research to see if she could find it. And she wanted to know if I knew how Eileen found it, and I said I really don't know. She said that she would try to do it tomorrow, and we can determine who owns it. But meanwhile, we need to make a decision about the trimming. If we should just do light trimming, if we no matter what we do, just do light trimming, or what do you think? I need to know your thoughts about this. I'm going to get back to Mary Jo Nosel about it.
Well, Joanne, it's not our tree. It's on their property, right? It's not a town tree.
Well, we don't
have
know
to
that.
be involved. If we
Right.
find that out, we don't have to be involved.
That's true. That is true. If that is true, then we actually, like the Congregational Church tree, we've been trimming it and thinking that it's on, it's a town tree. But if it is on the boundary line, if it's growing right on the line, the boundary line, the property line between town right of way and right on the property line, then I don't know what we should do. Actually, I need your thoughts.
If it is on the property line, there are mostly 3 branches, each about 20 to 25 feet, that if taken down would be discrete cuts, and that would make the shopkeepers happy, if not the owner. The one that extends out over the fence in the picture I sent people, if they could access that, that could be dangerous when the winds start kicking up against the building. Again, depending on whether or not it's on the property line and how much of it we are disposed to do. But the one that extends towards the building is definitely a possible threat to the building with some winds. And the one that extends out perpendicular to the sidewalk out over the road, it's more of a main branch that could go, and it would be less of a threat to passing vehicles, fire engines and whatnot. So basically, I see 3 of the branches that could be trimmed discreetly, and I don't think they should cost $650 to get those. But if you look at the pictures, you can clearly see the one that hangs out over the sidewalk and goes over the road, and the one that goes.
Let me pull up my email and I'll open them,
Okay.
Michael. Okay. Yep, there it is. Let's see. So you have 3 pictures. You have 3 photos on here, which is now the first, the second, and third. I have them all pulled up. So we're talking about the first one is showing is pointing south, where it's close to the Murgy's property. It's hanging near the Murgy's building. That's the church, the old Christ the King church, correct?
Yes, the one that shows the fence in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they actually, all of them show the fence, but I'm looking at the first one, which is the Murgy property.
Okay. Well, the one that points towards
The
the
church.
fence.
It doesn't show. It doesn't show. The first one I have doesn't show the EF Watermelon. It just shows it shows the old church building, which is now a private home.
Yes.
Okay.
That limb should
So you're
go.
talking about the large one or the smaller one?
The large one.
Okay. So
And then
you think
we'll
the
avoid
large
future
one?
problems.
Okay. So the second photo is of the building with the large limbs, one hanging toward the building, the other one coming out toward the street.
Okay.
And then there's another one. The third one shows the large limb going out over the street, and the fourth one is going between the buildings, hanging over the fence. Correct? Did everybody look at these and see how I'm describing it? Yes.
You know, it's interesting from the photographs, having just seen this tree and seen all these branches, the photographs make them look more dangerous than in real life. They don't look as threatening to these areas. But when you look at the photographs, particularly the one heading for the little red building, and then the one hanging over the road, you say, oh, wow, those are all dangerous. And the one by the fence, interesting. Okay. I'm really surprised because we just looked at it an hour ago, Joanne.
Yeah, right.
I met with Jim there. He was telling me you were there.
Well, when I talked with Tony from Tenet, the reason the price is $650 is I told him that I wanted that branch removed. And so that's why it's more expensive than the $350. When Bartlett trimmed it, I'm not sure if they did it in 2018. I'm not sure if it was Bartlett in 2015. I'd have to look back at the invoices. But they just really trimmed light branches. They didn't take off any major branches. This was taking off the major branches. However, that being said, now that this question, considering what Tom said, and the question of whether this is on really the branches, certainly the branches that are near the building are not on town property. That's, we know that. But if the tree is on the property line, then, I'm reluctant to, I understand what Tom is saying when he says, that we can't trim trees for all the houses and property owners on Lime Street. So that's true. He has a very good point there with saying that. So that's why we need to say, okay, we're going to do it, or we're not going to do it, or we'll do some of it, or the owner can do some of it, as he said, and, we'll just, he just has to work with us about it. So, when he decides to do it. So that's what we have to decide. Are we going to spend the money, even though those they could be the owner's responsibility, or are we going to take that on? And then
Why don't we table it until we hear from Vicki?
I guess we could do that. I don't know if we'll have a meeting next month. I don't know. I guess we'll need to have a meeting then to decide this. I actually told Mary Jo Nosel that we would be meeting this month because it's been, it's been on the back burner now for a few months, since November when I noticed it, and then the shopkeepers notified her, got in touch with Mary Jo about it. So I guess that's what we need to determine. So let's just use for an example, hypothetically, what if the tree is on the property line? Then I need to know, what do you want to do? Because we'll just have to go from there too. We'll have to make a decision. So what if it is on the property line? What do you want to do? Can you, I need your thoughts. What do you suggest?
I don't think we have to do anything if that's the situation. The only thing we'd have to do is take care of the branches that fall over the road that affect our trucks.
Okay. Thank you, Joan. Anyone else? How about you, Emily, Ann?
I know I'm torn because you don't want to start a precedent of us just trimming trees, like you say, because of the shop owners want it. But no, it's a nice tree. I hate to cut it down or just let it get so big and out of control that's only the real option down the road. I'm torn on this one.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's on his property. But I agree. Anything that hangs over the road, sidewalks, but as Tom said, it looks structurally fine. So at this point.
Yeah, he said structurally it's fine. But it's just too large for the space.
Yeah.
And I agree with Michael, they're heavy limbs. They're very heavy limbs. So
yeah, I feel for the shop owners. I do. I would want it trimmed up if it was my shop.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have any thoughts?
My only question is, we're responsible for the branches on our side and not on his side, or are we responsible for the whole tree?
Well, it depends on where the tree is. If the tree is on the property line, I would say it's probably our responsibility on the street side. If that is true, then on the owner, the property owner's side, he can trim anything he wants. That's usually how it works. If you have a tree, your neighbor's tree, and it's leaning over in your property, you can trim it. So even if it's a street tree, you can. So that's, but we don't know that. And as I said, we always thought we always had the other tree, the maple tree at the Congregational Church. We trimmed it, and it's really not our tree. So what I want to do when Town Hall opens up, I'm going to go in there and try to get a map of Lime Street just to see where all these trees are plotted, because we don't have a map with showing all of that. you know, exactly where these trees are located, all the street trees. So we trim them. But most of them, we just trim what's hanging over the road. We go along, if you remember, a few years ago, we did all the trees along Lime Street, and it was all that was hanging, lifting 15 feet off the road. The other part of the trees, we didn't do. So this one is the first one that we need to do the whole tree, that we were thinking about doing the whole tree. So Michael, do you feel that we should do it?
No, I appreciate what was said as far as that. The tree manual that I was given at the course last year said exactly what someone said, that if the branches go out on their side, they have the obligation at their cost to trim the
Correct.
tree.
Yes. Yes.
So then therefore the one that goes towards the building, but it simply depends on how we're straddling that line. The information that we wanted from Vicky.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So I guess we'll wait to see, you know, what she tells us. And if I don't hear from her, I don't know, I'll have to call and see if we can get that information. I do have, Mary Jo Nosel gave me the telephone number in New York for Mr. Pedersen, who owns the building. So I may just give him a call after I hear from her and see what he thinks, because he does own the building. So we'll see what happens. But the only thing is, if she finds out that if she determines or sends me, and there's a plot on there that the tree is a town tree. So would you want to trim all of what we discussed, or should we just stay with what Tom suggested, which was over the road, and a few branches that are near the building? A few hanging branches near the building, not the main one. Are you in agreement with that or no?
If it is entirely on town property, we are going to be liable for that thing again and again as it continues to grow if we don't take that one that goes towards the corner of the church. That somewhat hangs over EF Watermelon.
Okay.
We might as well cut it back to the source, and then it's out of the way forever if it's a town tree.
Right. Okay. And if it is owned by both parties, let's say the tree is town tree on one side, and on the other side it's Pedersen's tree. So then we tell Mr. Pedersen we trim the side that's hanging over the sidewalk and the road. Is that what all of you think? We should just trim that side and then let him take care of the rest? If
Yes.
it is owned by both parties. You feel that way, Joan and Emily
Yeah,
and Ann? Do you agree?
Yes,
We
I
agree.
agree.
Okay, so then that's what we'll do. Then we've decided that if it's a tree that's growing on the property line and the side over the street, we will trim it. What the branches that are hanging over toward the Murgy property, that would be either their responsibility, and the ones that are hanging toward the building would be the building owner's responsibility. But we'll do what's hanging over the walk and on the street. Is that agreeable?
Agreeable.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone agrees with that. Okay. So that's what we'll do. But if it is totally a town, if it belongs to the property owner, then do you still want to trim? If it's all on his property, do you still want to trim over the street? We can do that. You want to do that? So that's
Yes.
good, right? Okay. But
Yes.
if it is the town tree, totally the town tree, then it would be our responsibility to do just over the street and the sidewalk, or how about the branches that extend to the building? It's his responsibility?
It's his, it's straddling.
It would be his responsibility if it was a town tree to prune the trees that were close to the building. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No, if it's straddling,
No, if it's a town tree, we have to take care of it.
yeah.
Okay, so you think we should take care of it if it's a town tree, totally a town tree? We should take care of the
Yes.
entire tree. We should take
Yeah.
care of the entire tree. Okay,
Yes.
Joan, how about you?
Yeah, and pray it belongs to him, but we have to take
Yeah.
care of it if it's ours.
Yeah.
Okay, so entirely a town tree, we trim the whole tree. If it's half ours and half his, he does the side near the building, we do the street, correct?
Yes, he
Right.
can party.
And if it's on his property, we do over the street and the walk, correct? So we have those
Correct.
three different things. Great. Okay. Thank you for resolving it. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to ask you, I'm going to need to have your agreement that I get estimates for trimming at least the side right now. I want to include it. The one that I got from Tenant, he's doing major pruning on the tree. But if I ask another tree company to give me an estimate to do the small trimming that's over the sidewalk and the road, I need your approval to do that, and to spend that money. I don't know how much it will be, and we'll have to wait until next month. I would like to get it done now, but if you feel we should wait until next month, I'll do that.
Well, there's a monkey
Next
wrench.
time. Or the next time we meet.
There's a little monkey wrench in this because they recommend lindens be pruned during the winter. So if we go
I know
through,
that.
oh, sorry. So if
I
we go-
know, yes, I know that. We need to have it pruned. All trees actually should be pruned when they're dormant. But this is a special exception, Michael, just because we just didn't get, I couldn't get a meeting together. So we did have it pruned in July in 2015 or 18, it was pruned in July. So winter 2015 and July 2018. So I think we just have to go with it, and it's not the proper time. And I do know some trees bleed when they're not printed in the when they're not trimmed in the winter, but we just have to go with it. So if that's
Good.
okay with everyone, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get another estimate, and I will. In the meantime, we'll try to figure out who owns it. Who's responsible for it. So I'll just make the decision then. So thank you. You're giving me the authority to make the decision. Thank you. Okay.
Wow.
And maybe we should vote on that just to have it official. So I'll need a motion for that.
I move
I need a
authority with
motion.
Joanne.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Second?
Second.
Okay. That was Joan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Thank you. Last item of business, I already talked about the white oak. Any other business? I don't have anything written under there because we've already discussed this, but I just want to remind you that we did discuss planting a new tree on the South Sill Lane Green. I don't remember. I think it was at the January meeting or the November meeting we talked about it because they had taken a tree down that was there was storm damage. So, there were several suggestions for a new tree. I want you to think about that for the next meeting once again. And because I think I'm suggesting that we plant a new tree this fall.
Good.
Plant a new tree
Yeah.
on that Sill Lane Green.
Okay.
And we can get started on it. So the next meeting, I think you had couple of you had suggested flowering trees, small ornamental trees, and then there were
large trees like a tupelo, and somebody had suggested a maple tree. There were several. I think
Sam.
Michael probably suggested a chestnut tree, which
Oh, okay.
we had talked.
Good
It
enough.
must have been November because you weren't at the January meeting, Michael. That would probably be a problem only because of the chestnuts dropping on the ground. I'm sure the town crew would not appreciate that. So I think that's probably not a likely candidate.
Understood.
So anything else, we'll review again. And if I can find the minutes or whenever we discuss it, I'll send them on to you, and you can see all of your suggestions again. So, okay. So, we covered 4 months of items, business in an hour. So we did very well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, members. Thank you, members. So, any other questions or any business to discuss before we adjourn?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have the next,
Second.
let me just say, write this on your calendar. June 18 will be our next meeting. If we have, depending on our business, we have to discuss. So, Joe made a motion to adjourn. Second?
I'll second. Emily?
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Martha, are you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Yes, you
Bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Gotcha.